Some 7 minutes after 8, you're still watching the AM show. Now, questions have been raised by some members of Parliament about the durability of newly acquired furniture currently being used in the chamber, barely 24 hours after they were outdoored. Some of the chairs have been damaged, and this has left many questioning the decision to procure the furniture from China in the first place. And I've got a member of Parliament with me in the studio this morning. We're going to put a lot of questions to her. Indeed, during the AM talk, a lot of questions were raised, and we will seek to find some answers. My guest is the Honorable Esla Owusu Ekufu, who is the MP for Ablekuma West constituency here in the Greater Accra region. Madam, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay, so I want to ask you, what kind of due diligence was done first before procuring what you have now in Parliament?
I'm smiling because I'm wondering what I've let myself in for. Let me say good morning to your viewers.
For a good time.
Yes, I am not in a position to answer that question, and I'll explain why. A lot of the work of Parliament is done in committee, and for the refurbishment of the chamber and the construction of the office accommodation for MPs. That job was principally done by the Parliamentary Services Board and the House Committee in Parliament. And I'm not a member of either of those committees, so I really would not know exactly what went into the procurement decisions which were made. The best people to answer that question, and I think it would be useful if you got them on your show or on one of your programs, are the majority leader and the minority leader.
Okay.
But two of them would be the best people to answer the questions you have. But the current majority leader would also be a little disadvantaged because he was not the occupant of this position when the decisions were made. Honorable Bagbin has just been appointed the majority leader. The majority leader at the time was Honorable Benkumbo, and so I'm sure that's why you hear the minority leader fielding a lot more of the questions on this issue, because Bagbin was not there, and so he couldn't answer to many.
We're being told that some persons went to Italy and then in China to go and inspect some of the equipment. But do you have a problem with your chair, though? What you sit on in Parliament?
So far, nothing has happened to it. But it is worrying to notice that some of my colleagues have had the wheels under their chairs fall off. Maybe they weren't fixed properly. Maybe it's just it can be tweaked to make it better. And I suggest that they take a look at all the chairs in the house, because really, for the wheels to be falling off on the second day of use is not good. And it's very embarrassing for everybody who was involved in the decision to purchase those chairs. And you did ask, yes, the Speaker informed the House when we reconvened that some members of leadership went to various parts of the world to inspect the equipment and furniture that they were procuring. But there are two issues here. Some went to Italy, and I think those who did that were for the office block, the Job 600 block. And then some went to China, I believe, for the main chamber. Let me hasten to add that this morning I was very, very amused, and, well, there's humor in everything, so you can choose to get upset or you can choose to smile at it. When I heard us being referred to as the China Parliament, I had no idea that that was what was making the round.
Yeah, this is, and I think I have the paper. This is the Chronicle newspaper. And the headline said $60 million Chinese parliamentary toys.
Oh,
breakdown.
Gosh, ouch. Or maybe I should say ouch. That hurts. But let me hasten to add that the communication device is a Bosch device. Bosch is not made in China. Bosch made in the Netherlands. And I did ask, I've been making a lot of noise since I entered Parliament about moving away from the excessive use of paper and focusing on developing an e-parliament and a paperless parliament. That's the phrase I've been using. So many people turned and looked at me when they unveiled that whole thing. And so it's a very exciting development for me. It's a Bosch device, and it was not made in China, please.
Okay. But I think for us who are not in Parliament, I guess the question that we keep asking is, can everybody use the new tabs that you have?
Unfortunately, now, no. And like everything, we have to learn how to use it. Even stark illiterates can learn how to drive, ne?
But shouldn't you have learned before?
Well, the equipment had to come. The equipment had to come so that we could be trained on the use of the equipment.
Okay.
So, and we were on research to while all this was being done. Actually, yesterday they informed us that the equipment arrived about a week ago. And so they've been working flat out to install it. So we're seeing some early operational glitches, which will be resolved hopefully over the weekend and stuff like that. It's all not bad. So
I see you're really excited about the new parliament.
I am.
We're showing it right now. It means that you have one microphone to yourself,
Absolutely.
every MP.
Yes.
Okay, but I know that what is also really important to most MPs is the office, because they say they have to carry a lot of documents in their vehicles. What do you know about when that job 600 is going to get done?
We've been giving different dates, and so I hesitate to put out a time frame, but I'm hopeful that by the middle of next year, that's being conservative.
Yeah.
I don't want to box myself down, and I'm not involved in the decision making, so I really don't know.
Okay.
And hopefully by the middle of next year, we should be moving into the office, because we're informed that the furniture has actually been shipped, and so depending on when it arrives,
So
and
why
it's
are we not
installed.
buying things from Ghana? Why are we not buying
Now-
things from Ghana? The furniture that I have in my hall is made in Ghana.
That is what I'm interested in discussing. And I think it is a conversation we must have. Almost everything in my house I source locally. And there is a lot of stuff here that we overlook. We don't realize the wealth that is easily available. People come from outside and are taking our artifacts, our sculptures, our furniture away. The problem is producing in quantities and within defined time frames. That is where we're having a challenge. And I was curious because I wasn't happy with the bland look of Parliament. It's lost a bit of its Ghanaian unique character. The original tables we had Adinkra symbols on them.
Okay.
And so that showcased our traditional art and traditional designs. So I was quite happy with that because I am a big fan. You should be seeing my house. It's full of Ghanaian and African stuff.
Okay.
So
these are the old ones. These are the old ones that you had. Okay.
So I was upset that we had these ubiquitous tables which you could find in any office. So I asked why. And they told me that they wanted hardwood, kiln-dried hardwood, which not chipboard or anything. They wanted proper hardwood, which would stand the test of time. But when they tried sourcing it locally, the earliest they could get it was in 2 years' time. And I asked that, what about the Fernats, the P Woods, the Agowus, the Spogas, and all the other furniture?
They could give them in bits.
Couldn't
Everybody
they
have a piece of it.
down and spread it? And they said they wanted consistency in the final product, and our finishing is also a little problematic. So they didn't have enough time. Well, they've been at this for quite some time. Actually, not having enough time is no excuse, because the number of constituencies were increased in 2012. And we are in 2014.
Yeah.
2 years is enough time to have sorted out all those things.
What does it mean to the president showcasing the fact that he wears Made in Ghana shoes and asking all of us to buy Made in Ghana? This was a lot of money that would have done good to our own economy.
It's an embarrassment to all of us that we're very quick to throw the sound bites out, but we do not put the structures in place to give effect to those sound bites. We don't have the capacity to produce the quantities that we need currently. And with all these doomso and electricity problems, it's very difficult for people who are producing in this country to meet deadlines. And so inevitably you find yourself having to import, despite your best intentions. So what we should be asking ourselves is less rhetoric, more action. We should stop talking and start putting in place the structures which will enable Ghanaians to take advantage of the opportunities that we're creating here daily. And things are happening here daily that others are taking advantage of, and we're building other people's economies when our own economy is suffering. It is an embarrassment and an indictment on all of us.
For me as an individual and as a journalist, it's interesting that the same place where the president stood to showcase his shoes and to acknowledge a few Ghanaian manufacturers, that's the same place that is quickly buying things from outside.
Ironic, isn't it? But it's just a graphic illustration of how weak we are in implementing the plans that we put out. And it is just, I'm sure that there's irony in there, there's humor in there, there's lots of lessons in there, and I hope that every time the president enters that house, he should see that, I stood here and I said all this, and now look, why have we been reduced to this? It should be a constant example to all that. So I thank God that it has happened.
But you see, this is Parliament too. So this is not MPP NDC. This is Parliament.
No. I'll try as much as possible not to do MPP NDC when it comes to the work of the House.
Exactly.
It's an indictment on all of us. So none of us can take ourselves out of it. And you can say that I wasn't involved in the decision. It is the majority and it is the president's government who did it. But the egg is on all our faces. So every time you enter it, it's in your face.
But you enjoy the place though. I mean, you're enjoying it.
It's a new, enjoying being in Parliament, that's it.
Enjoying the whole seating and your tab and your new chairs.
I'm enjoying the tab.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the rest
Are you
of
allowed
the
to
stuff.
take it away? I mean, is it something that you can take away?
No, it's fixed.
Okay.
To the table, and it has a lot of functionalities. We can vote on it. It can even be programmed so that we can sign in biometrically and vote biometrically. They're now going to do all that.
Okay.
We need to tell them what we want, what functionalities we want them to enable on the devices.
That's exciting.
It is.
How much did it cost you though?
I have no idea. And I am making inquiries. Well, I wasn't in the house early enough yesterday, and I had other things doing. But today I'm going to ask. I'm sincerely hoping that I'll be giving the answers, because it is important not to just tout transparency and accountability, but to actually live it. Not to just preach it, but to demonstrate it in action.
Who paid for it? Is it, you and I, all of us?
I think that we got a facility, a loan, at some stage to do that. And eventually, it's the people of Ghana who would have to pay for it. And so we need to tell them what bill we're saddling them with. And since Parliament is in charge of financial oversight over the executive, we should be demonstrating in a practical manner that, yes, we are actually taking good care of the public purse. The jury is out on whether, in terms of the scale of priorities, this was a priority at this particular time.
What do you think?
I think that the communication devices are a priority.
Okay.
Someone will say it's because that's my interest. I also think that maybe they could have reconfigured using the existing desks at least, done something about refashioning out a new set of tables and desk furniture for us, using some of the existing furniture that we had instead of scrapping them and replacing them. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I may be wrong. Maybe it would have cost even more to have, they say renovations cost more than building from scratch. So I don't know, as a layman, if that was possible.
Okay.
But I asked what was going to be done with all that old furniture, and it's stuck in storage somewhere. And if our attitude to these things is anything to go by, it will be there over a long period of time. What will be destroyed, what will degenerate, and some pieces will disappear over time. And next time you ask where it is, the answer would be, we don't know. Or it will be thrown out or sold for scrap or something. It is usable furniture. So I think they should look into the possibility of either replacing some of the existing office furniture that we have, or even donating it to some schools or something, so that other people can derive continuous benefit from it instead of just packing it away in storage.
Okay.